A top focus on WION right now. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is back in Israel for more talks, and he just met the Israeli President Isaac Herzog a short while ago in Tel Aviv. Well, Antony Blinken, who is on a regional tour aimed at de-escalating the conflict, and these are visuals from a short while ago where the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with the Israeli President Isaac Herzog in Tel Aviv. This is Blinken's fourth West Asia tour, which is aimed at de-escalating the conflict. He has warned that the war in Gaza could spread and threaten security in the wider West Asia. Take a listen.
Everywhere I went, I found leaders who were determined to prevent the conflict that we're facing now from spreading, doing everything possible to deter escalation, to prevent a widening of the conflict. The future of the region needs to be one of integration, not division and not conflict. And fourth, for that to happen, we need to see the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. Now, no one I talk to thinks any of this will be easy. All recognize the hurdles, and no one thinks that anything will happen overnight. But we agreed to work together.
In a bid to reach at a consensus on Gaza's future, Blinken arrived in Israel from the Saudi Arabia's oasis town of Al Ula, where he held talks with the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Earlier, he had made stops to Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Jordan, Turkey and Greece. And this is his fourth mission to the region since October. Jordan says that Israel's Netanyahu must not be allowed to drag region into a wider war. Jordan's foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, said that it was unacceptable that the international community should not allow the war to spread to other parts of the region. The European Union's top diplomatic chief, Josep Borrell, also says that the recent attacks carried out in the region could escalate the war in West Asia.
Yes, indeed, the fear we all share, and I share it with the Portuguese colleague, the risk that the situation can spread. And the previous question is also related to this. The attacks from the Houthis in the Red Sea are also related to the war in Gaza.
Now, the fears of a wider regional war continues to mount as, according to reports, a senior Hezbollah commander was killed in an Israeli drone strike on his car in southern Lebanon. According to sources, the strike killed the Hezbollah commander some 6 kilometers away from the border. Wissam Tawil is the most senior member of the militant group to be killed in an Israeli strike since Hezbollah and Israel began trading fire across the Lebanese-Israeli border. Moreover, later in the day, Israel's military says that it has killed a central figure in Syria who was killed in the Israeli airstrike, was responsible for Hamas rocket attacks against Israel. Now, both the killings come on the heels of Saleh al-Aruri's death in the Lebanese capital, Beirut. As per reports, Saleh al-Aruri was killed along with his bodyguards in an Israeli drone strike on Beirut's southern suburbs. But Israel has not claimed responsibility for the attack. And to talk more on this, we are now being joined by Irina Tuskomen, who is a West Asia expert and human rights activist. She's also a human rights and national security lawyer based in the U.S. Thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on WION.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, Ms. Tuskomen, a suspected Israeli strike has killed a senior Hezbollah commander, and this comes just a few days after Hamas's deputy chief Saleh al-Aruri was killed in an airstrike in Lebanon. How imminent is the threat of a wider war right now?
Well, the war is already wider, and it's not wider because Israel is exercising deterrence to stop terrorist organizations from attacking it. The only reason for the escalation and the spread of the conflict throughout the region is Iran and its mission to subsume the entire region under its thumb, and using this attack on Israel as an opportunity to make its regional claims.
Right, and de-escalate the concerns regarding a wider regional war. Antony Blinken is on his fourth West Asia trip. Do you think he'll be able to de-escalate the crisis?
The only party that is responsible for de-escalating the crisis is Iran. I'm not entirely sure what Arab leaders are supposed to do in this situation. They don't control Gaza, they don't control Hamas, they don't control Hezbollah, and they certainly don't control Houthis. Saudi Arabia has been in talks with Houthis about normalization for months and has made no progress whatsoever. Despite these ongoing talks, their own people, their own guards are being attacked at the borders and they're being killed by the Houthis. None of these countries have any power over Iran. And Iran is the sole party responsible for its proxies and their regional escalation.
You speak of how the onus of de-escalation is only on Iran, but what about the incessant airstrikes by Israel on Gaza, which has killed at least 22,000 people?
The numbers are attributable certainly to Hamas, which has every reason in the world to inflate those numbers. But Israel has made its objective clear: to eliminate Hamas leadership, to demilitarize Gaza, and to de-radicalize its population, which has been subjected to indoctrination for decades now. Doing so requires significant amount of force. It's not easy, it's not pretty, but it is necessary not only for Israel's security, but for regional and even global security. Hamas made it clear that it is planning to export the conflict to other countries and has already attempted to target Israeli and Jewish targets in Europe.
Well, Israel has not been able to achieve any of its three objectives that Netanyahu has clearly outlined. In such a scenario, how do you assess the United States of America's position and stance in the ongoing war? America earlier completely supported Israel, but now Biden has said that it is trying to reduce the presence of IDF in Gaza.
Well, it's too early to say whether or not Israel will be able to accomplish its objectives, because 3 months into the war with a terrorist organization that is receiving international support from its proxies networks is not going to be a conventional war that is easily resolved. And Israel itself said that Gaza operations alone, and that's not counting hunting down Hamas operatives outside Gaza, is going to take at least a year. The United States is indeed in a difficult position. It is the election year. It has to speak to its various constituencies, not only Israel and pro-Israel communities. It has tried to balance those interests in its approach to foreign policy. But the bottom line is, for Israel to attain its objectives and to eliminate a terrorist organization that is a threat to the United States security, and not just to Israel, or for that matter, the region, it needs to be able to do what it needs to be able to do. Pressuring it to de-escalate will result in more unnecessary deaths on both sides.
Right, Ms. Zuckerman, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on WION.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.